So we're trying to wrap our mind around what the composition of functions means. So we have an example here. It says the function C of S gives the number of calories burned completing S sit-ups, okay? And S of T gives the number of sit-ups a person can complete in T minutes. So interpret C of S of 3. Well, what does 3 represent? 3 is the number of minutes, okay, that you're going to do sit-ups. What does S of 3 mean? Well, that's the number of sit-ups you're getting done in the 3 minutes. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. You say, okay, I'm going to lay down here, I'm going to do sit-ups, and somebody's going to time me for 3 minutes, and they're going to count how many sit-ups I do. Okay, so 3 minutes, that's the time you put in. That's the T minutes. And then they count how many sit-ups you do. I don't know. For me, 10 sit-ups or something. I don't know. In 3 minutes, but so many sit-ups. Okay, and that's your output, S of T. Okay, so how many sit-ups you got done? So maybe you get, I don't know, 50 sit-ups done. Okay, then what does C of S of 3 mean? Well, that's the number of calories burned doing sit-ups for 3 minutes. So I go through, okay, I'm going to do sit-ups for 3 minutes. And then that my input's 3 minutes, my output is 50. I'm saying I can do 50 sit-ups in 3 minutes. So then 50 is my new input. So I'm going to base the calories that I burn based on doing 50 sit-ups. Okay? So that's how it's interpreted. Okay. Now this question's a little bit different. It says, suppose f of x gives miles that can be driven in x hours, and g of y gives the gallons of gas used in driving y miles. Which of these expressions is meaningful? So they have f of g of y, and then they have g of f of x. Okay, so let's look at the first one. What does y measure? Y is measuring miles, right? So you're saying g of how many miles? Now let's see if that makes sense. What does the g function say? It gives the gallons of gas used in driving so many miles. Okay, so yeah, y is miles. Okay, so you're finding how many gallons of gas you use. So what's the output? It's gallons, right? It's how many gallons you're using. Gallons used of gas. So F of gallons used. Well, what does F say? F gives miles that can be driven in X hours. So F isn't based on gallons, it's based on hours. And that doesn't tell me hours, it tells me how many gallons I used. So this doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Let's try the other one. Well, here I'm putting in hours, right? And this is going to tell me how many miles I drive in so many hours. So my output is miles. And then my g function, I'm taking g of miles. Well, that's g function. Where's my g function? G of y gives the gallons used in miles, if you know how many miles you're driving. So I'm putting in miles, and so I'm going to figure out how many gallons of gas is needed. So yes, this makes sense. Yes, this makes sense. It's a little tricky because it has to do with the wording and what everything's meaning and the units of measure. So watch this video again. You might need to. Okay. It's in the book too.